Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for joining our September virtual user group. Today's topic is going to be getting to know the WebFOCUS Hub. And we have our presenters here on the line, Dave Pfeiffer and Alex Homer. They will be presenting to you today. They've got a lot of great material lined up and they're excited to share it with you. A couple of things before we dive into their presentations, some housekeeping. Just as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded. This will be made available to you tomorrow. You will have it, I will send it in an email, follow-up email to you. You will also be able to access this from our website under the resource section, so ibi.com resource section, and it will also be posted to our YouTube channel. So those are another two places that you will be able to find the recording. If you have any questions for our presenters during your time with us today, please utilize the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen, and Dave and Alex will be answering those questions out loud. And also, we can also answer them one-on-one with you as well. So please be sure to submit those through the Q&A. All right, so with that, I have a couple of marketing slides to share with you guys, and then I will turn it over to Dave and Alex. So real quickly, let me get in here. Here we go. So as I mentioned today, we are going to be talking about getting to know the WebFOCUS Hub. And if you haven't already, if you haven't had a chance to dive into our WebFOCUS 9.3, we launched this earlier this year. You still have a chance to check it out. So you can head out and check out our launch playlist where you can see some of the new demos in the 9.3. So be sure to check that out if you haven't had a chance. But also, if you are interested, you have a chance to have hands-on with the environment. We have one more stop on our roadshow this year. New York is coming up on October 8th. If you'd like the opportunity to participate in our Summit Roadshow, this would be your last chance for 2024 to attend and join us. And this would be an opportunity for you to play around with the WebFOCUS 9.3 environment with our hands-on labs and get to see some of the new presentations in the 9.3 environment. So if you there is still time to register. Registration is still open. I believe it will be closing next week. So if you have the opportunity, we'd love to have you there. Again, this will be your last chance for 2024 to join us for our Summit Roadshows. So as I mentioned, we have the product-led breakout sessions. You've got the hands-on labs. You'll have time with your experts if you'd like to book any expert hour time. Also for New York, we have an exclusive customer panel that you'll be able to listen to and hear from some of our top customers. And we also are featuring our Birds of a Feather at New York. So you'll be able to have some networking opportunities with your fellow peers around some of the same interests that you have. So again, if you'd like to join us for our last Summit stop in 2024, be sure to register for New York. And then switching gears, if you haven't had a chance to check out our new ibi.com, be sure to head out to our website. We have redesigned it. It looks fantastic. Out here, you can find all of our product documentation. We will be slowly uploading and putting some of our training and education information out here. We've got a great program that's coming up for our education. You can access support out here, find out when all of our upcoming events are coming, whether those are in person or our virtual webinars, including Focus Fridays, these monthly virtual webinars, and the Summit Roadshows. Also, as I mentioned at the beginning, you can find all of the recordings from our webinars out on our website as well under the resource section, and that also includes the Focus Fridays and the monthly virtual user groups. We also have some featured customer stories out there, so if you'd like to read about what other customers are doing with the IBI portfolio, you can check those out as well. Some of the events that are coming up. So September, obviously today you guys are with us for our virtual user group. Last week, Walter and Renee had the Focus Friday. That is available for on demand. If you missed that one, you can check out the recording. As I mentioned, coming up for October, we have the New York Roadshow, and then we have our Focus Friday coming up in October for October 18th, and then we'll also have our October virtual user group. I just ran out of room to put it on this slide, but those are all posted on our website if you'd like to register for those upcoming events. The IBI community, this has been up and running now, so I'm sure a lot of you are already a member of the IBI community, but if you're not, we'd love to have you join. We have moved off of the TIBCO platform, so this is now just for IBI customers. A lot of great conversations are going on out there, articles being posted, threads being posted. So if you guys are interested, check out the community. It's really worth your time. As I mentioned, the forums, the knowledge base, a lot of Q&A going on. So this has replaced, again, the old TIBCO platform. So you guys are more than welcome to head out there and check out the IBI only content that we know that you all are searching for and want. Stay connected with us. If you have not signed up for our newsletter or you are not getting our newsletter, please let me know. I will add you to that mailing list. So we have a monthly newsletter, in case you were not aware, where we send out and keep you updated with all the things going on with IBI. So be sure to make sure that you are receiving that, as well as I mentioned, checking out our website regularly to stay updated on all of our events that are coming up. Last but not least, we'd love to get social with you guys. So if you are on any of these social channels, we'd love to connect with you. Subscribe to follow us on LinkedIn, X, and our new YouTube channel. Again, this is where a lot of the webinars are being posted on the YouTube channel, so you can also check out those recordings there. And then our X and LinkedIn, we just offer a lot of updates going on with IBI, so you can just stay in the know, read about some of our blogs, our press releases, and know when upcoming events are happening. So be sure to subscribe and follow us there. And then at the end of the meeting, as usual, you will receive a link to a evaluation form. We'd love for you to take a moment, fill it out. Your feedback is very important to us, so that we plan and execute these virtual user groups, accordingly to what you guys want to hear for the next year. So we are in our planning mode for 2025. So be sure to share your opinions so that we can select the topics that you guys want to attend and hear about. So with that, that is all I had. I am going to turn it over to Dave, and we'll get started.
Very good. Thank you, Shay. Let me share my screen here. We'll get going. All right, let me move a few things around. Okay. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. We're excited to share with you some direction on the WebFOCUS Hub. This is a bit of a repeat session. We presented some of these ideas about a year and a half ago, so we're revisiting it with some new updates. We know that not everybody uses the hub. We have some new customers joining us who this might be entirely new to, and some existing customers who might just not be getting the most benefits out of it. So we're happy to share with you a revisit of the basics of the hub and the foundations and the value that it adds in your workflows. Today, there's a couple things that we'll cover. We'll give you an overview of the hub. We'll take you through some of the UI, the key areas within it. We'll give you a summary of the features, and then we'll kick it over. Alex is going to do a demo, and then we'll do some Q&A. I'm Dave Pfeiffer. I lead the UX team. So I'll talk about some of the basic principles of the hub, what we're trying to accomplish, how we got there, and what some of the UI basics are. And then I'm going to kick it over to my partner in crime, Alex Homer, who is a senior product manager, and he leads the PM capabilities of the hub. And he's going to do a demo. He's going to get a little bit more into the workflows. So I'll touch more on the UI, and then he's going to talk about the workflows and give you a quick demo. All right, so a little bit of history for the WebFOCUS Hub. I just want to set the stage and sort of show you how we got to where we are today. This was the landscape a few short years ago, and it's not very different than the landscape today, other than the starting point, which is why we sort of came to the hub. So approximately 4 years ago, when I joined IBI, the UX team, this was the landscape of what we were looking at. We had a platform of products that all did like really, specialized and great things. But they were sort of disjointed. They weren't sort of connected in any meaningful way. And so we had heard through many of our conversations with customers, through support, direct customer feedback at summits and other events, um, just some of the pain points and the needs that people were looking for. And so what we did was sort of look across the platform and try to envision how we can make this better, how we can tie it all together. You know, we're not unlike some of the other platforms out there, but how can we make it an easier journey for our customers? And so this is sort of like a panned out view of all the different tools within the platform that we were trying to care for. And what we did was we started with a bit of research. So we reached out to some customers, we led some focus groups. We were in direct contact with our support teams, who are our frontline folks who meet directly with our customers. And we started to categorize the users that use the WebFOCUS platform. You know, we have names for them, we have descriptions for them. So step one of really being able to, you know, craft what the experience should be is understanding who our users are, how they're using it, and what their needs are for the platform. So this is sort of just an example of what some of those user types are. And we're continuously looking at user types and expanding upon this based on new knowledge. So this is not every user type that we care for. It's just an example of a few of them. What we do with some of those user types then is internally, we start to build out what we call personas. So we take the user types and we start to articulate through these visuals all the things that we're hearing from them, what their pain points are, what the different types of characteristics of their personalities, of the work that they do, of the areas of the tools that they go into. So this helps us internally put visuals to the user types, which then helps us in turn talk to them and relate to the different user types internally when we're having our conversation. So as we're in product iteration and development mode, and we start talking about why we're going about a feature, who it's for, how it's going to be used, these are the artifacts that we refer back to. So these our research leads to these artifacts, which we then use in all of our internal conversations. And then as we get to the end of those conversations and we start to plot out all of the low-hanging fruit, the areas of opportunity, the things that we can focus on in the short term and the long term, and we start to lay out the roadmap, things start to appear and become more evident in the things that we're learning from our customers and from our support team and our other colleagues. And from the industry research that we do competitive analysis of other industry tools. So all of that sort of culminates into, like, you know, vast spreadsheets of ideas and features. And then what we ultimately do is we look for these common themes, these common areas of focus that we can really apply to multiple areas of the product. And so these are a couple of them. From all of our research, these 5 really stood out, no matter which type of user you are, which area of the product that you use. These were like the most common things that we derived from the research. You know, people were looking for better enablement and enhanced workflows. They were looking for easy ways to access their assets, to discover new assets, to discover things that others are working on in their organization. Relevancy, you know, things that smart UIs that organize the content that I'm working on in a meaningful way. So I'm finding the relevant information. I'm finding assets that similar folks, my team members, are working on, or other people in similar roles are working on. Maybe system-driven recommendations. So relevancy of the content that I see in the tool was a big idea. Contextual experiences, obviously, you know, tools these days are smart in that they know who I am and what I'm working on, and they give me the flexibility to sort of configure a tool the way I want, based on my preferences, how I work, et cetera. So smart UIs that allow me to configure it, and also smart UIs that are contextual to me as a worker in the work that I do. And then, as you know, enriched with intelligence. Everything is moving towards intelligence these days, AI, ML, all the machine learning stuff, chatbots. So these are the things that people are looking for, and we're continuously looking for ways to add those capabilities throughout the tools, build upon what we have, make them better, and make them sort of industry standard with what customers come to expect. And so all that process sort of culminates with the launch of the WebFOCUS Hub. So the WebFOCUS Hub, I think the first iteration came to fruition approximately 8207.28, which was, I believe, in 2021. And so this was sort of like the view of it. But again, a lot of this was a long time in the making, many, many years of research, even prior to when I got here. And just a shameless plug for the IBI community, all those personas that I showed you a moment ago, the research that we had done, we are continuously doing research. We never stop doing research. And so we would love to hear from you. Anybody who wants to reach out via the community. We are constantly putting out not just articles and forum chats, but we put out polls, questions that we would like for you to answer for us, to help us understand new needs, new pain points, what you think about the hub, what you would expect of it and from the other tools. So please, we would love for you to participate and keep our research going, because then we can, better serve those needs based on that feedback. So please, please, please go check out the forum and participate. Okay, so that's the history of the hub and how we got to where we are. I'm going to go into some of the high-level overview and the features. We'll show you a few slides, and then I'm going to kick it over to Alex, and he's going to take you through some of the workflows. So some of the early, the vision for the experience, what we were trying to accomplish, and many of these bullet points that I show you here, we have accomplished to some degree, and some of them are still under development. Some of them are more complex than others. We've released things over in phases, but we are continuously working towards this vision. So I'm going to start at the top of this list, and I'll give some voiceover to each of these points. Something for everyone. So as I showed you before, the WebFOCUS platform is an end-to-end data and analytics journey. It starts from bringing in your data, preparing it, managing it, cleaning up, visualizing it, generating all kinds of different charts and reports based on that data. And then what do you do with it? You make decisions on it, you share it with others, you distribute it through various means. So no matter who you are and what type of user you are, the hub is your starting point. There's something here for everybody. You still will go into your respective tools to do the work that you do, but everybody can funnel through the hub and gain some value of it. And so that was really important for us. Through our research, we did uncover a lot of need to give more focus and prominence on business users. So traditionally, the WebFOCUS platform was very strong in the technical side. Developers, analysts, data scientists, people who were actually managing the data and using the data to visualize and run reports. But we saw a real opportunity there to target executives, people who don't go in and get their hands dirty with a lot of the individual areas of the platform, but they have teams who do all that stuff and then provide them with charts, reports, portals, and then they make business decisions off of it. So for some people, the hub is the destination. They don't go into the different areas of the tool to do things. This is their destination, to see the things that are being shared with them, to gain insights from it, and to share this and use this stuff in presentations, in decks that they share with their other leadership. So and those we consider to be the business users. Those are like the executives and the senior leaders who are purely making decisions upon things. Contextual. Mentioned this a moment ago. We tried to design the interface to be dynamic. It knows who I am. Each user has permissions and entitlements. Everything, what I show you today is sort of like a super view, but you can imagine certain users might come in, they see a subset of things based on things that are permissioned to them. Admins see additional things because they sort of administrate the entire platform. So a smart UI, a smart experience that caters to each individual user based on permissions and entitlements. Enriched with intelligence, we're constantly looking for ways to embed AI and ML throughout the workflows. And those start here at the hub. Because as I said, some people, this is their destination. Some people are super users and they'll launch from the hub into a specific tool. So the intelligence is sprinkled throughout. It's in the hub, it's in reporting server, it's in designer. So how do we build the intelligence in a smart way, make it portable and common so that people can pick it up and use it no matter where they are in the platform. Easy to access all the assets. As I showed you in one of my first few slides, it's a big platform. And there's a lot of different areas where you create and manage your data and you create your visualizations and where those things actually get saved. So we try to create a central access point for where all those things are saved. We still have multiple repositories, multiple servers in play, but now we have a front door where it's really easy for people to go in and find that stuff. And so that was easy access of the assets so that people knew exactly where to go to, how to find it with really robust search and filtering capabilities. Unified administration, again, pulling those things into one centralized location. If a part of the tool had an administration area, admins needed to know to go over there to configure that. They need to go over here to configure this other area of the tool. Now, the vision was to bring that all into one central location right from the hub. Makes it really easy on everybody. There's still a lot of enhancements still to come. Down at the bottom, I note we're continuously making UI improvements, both in the visuals that you see, the workflows that we can trigger from here, all new features that we're introducing into each of the other areas of the product. We're trying to think about how we can enhance the hub to more quickly get you into those workflows and other tools, how we can leverage them here, et cetera. So we are constantly looking at this vision and measuring how close we are to realizing it, what's still ahead of us, how can we improve upon it, and what feedback we need from you, our customers, to make this a reality. Responsive view. So one of our going in premises was to try to make this a consumable experience on any device. So the hub is a responsive experience. So you can access it on a big desktop monitor, a small laptop. You can even access it on tablets and mobile phones. It has some limited functionality. We consider it more of a consumable experience here. So we have reduced some of the capabilities when you're on the smaller touchscreen devices because we don't think the tools that we have right now for creating content and managing and manipulating data, they're overly complex, too much to try to fit into a small mobile screen. So as of yet, we have not crossed the bridge and attempted to do that. Rather, we have focused on consuming the content, still being able to find the content that you're looking for, expand it, view it, interact with it. And this is one of those areas where we are looking for feedback from you guys. How might you want to interact with the hub and other areas on one of these mobile devices, a tablet, a smartphone, something in between? We want to hear your feedback. So please reach out to us on the community channel and let us know your thoughts here. Some of the UI enhancements that we have made in the past and we continue to make, as I showed you in one of my first few slides, all the different areas of the product. Well, they were all sort of managed by different engineering teams and different design teams. And so naturally, when we try to bring them together into a unified hub, there were a lot of visual differences between them. So we spent a lot of time and energy to try to provide a common theme to them. Buttons look the same, tiles all look the same, toolbars are sort of laid out in the same way with the same look and feel. This creates this feeling of unification, right? Not just that we brought a bunch of these tools together in a weird way, but that they feel like they are now part of a common platform. Common menus, where to look for things, how to, display your information in list view, tile view, all that kind of stuff. So we've taken a lot of time, painstaking time to manipulate what you see in the workspaces area, in the application directories area, home, and in search, so that they all have a consistent look and feel. So now you can navigate all the different areas of the hub and really confidently be able to see where you are and be able to configure your view based on what it is that you're looking to do. We also have these smart menus. In a lot of places, we've introduced a main plus menu. So as I'm creating content, you could go to the new plus menu that's in the upper left of the left navigation bar. And this is where I trigger the majority of my workflows. We do realize that we still have some workflows that are triggered from within the toolbar. So in the workspaces, you see the plus content button. A lot of your legacy workflows are still there. And likewise, in application directories, we still have the plus data button. But these are areas that we are still continually looking at. How can we streamline these? How can we bring them into one common menu system? So we're doing it little by little. We're taking bite-sized pieces and releasing them over time to make it sort of easier to adopt and consume. So we're constantly looking at this, but I feel like we're moving at a good pace, and it's really coming together really nicely. So some of the new features that we have introduced come in the way of Reportcaster. So the last time we had given this presentation, Reportcaster was still a thing of the future. We were still working on that. Now we're happy to say that the new Reportcaster UI is in the tool. So as of 9.3.0, I believe, we launched the new scheduler workflow. So in the past, from the menu, you would say, create a new schedule, and it would launch a brand new tab, and it launched the legacy view of that, which was sort of Windows looking. We have now reskinned all that. We brought it into the hub. And so now you never leave the hub experience when creating schedules, distribution lists, access lists. All of those things open up in this dialog view. And we've done it that way because it's sort of portable. So no matter where I am within the hub, I can be in workspaces, I can be in hub, I can be in the search UI. When I go up to that menu, I can create those schedules from anywhere, right? So it's a really easy way of exposing the UI from anywhere within the hub platform. And we're also thinking about ways that we might expose it elsewhere. So we've designed it in a very specific way to make it scalable over time. So now the Reportcaster UI looks and feels like the rest of the hub, looks and feels like the rest of the tools that we have, with similar styling and branding, which should really go a long way. The first phase of this, obviously, was to really focus on bringing the workflows in, having them embedded within the hub, and to make sure that the visual branding aligns with the rest of the hub. So we started out first with like a skinning of it with a few functional enhancements, but we're going to be adding to this over time. So more features and enhancements to come. So this was phase one of the Reportcaster launch. And then phase two, which just recently launched in 9.3.1, is the Explorer view. So nestled within the home area, you'll now see a new Reportcaster Explorer node. And this is synonymous with the old Explorer view that you used to launch, which would open up in a separate tab. It's got all the same features and functionality. It's not just now embedded within the hub, right? It's pulling that experience in. These assets, as I'm showing here, these are the same assets that I would see if I went over to Workspaces and I navigated to a directory. I would see these same Reportcaster items. I could also search these. I could go to search and search for schedules and search by name. I would find these here. But this is a way of maintaining parity with the current Explorer for those individuals who really use that quite often. We now maintain that here. So this is a way I can come in. Everything that I see here are only my Reportcaster items. I can organize the view as I see fit. I can filter by type, by owner, by date. There's a couple of other filters that we've tucked in here. You expand that down and it provides some additional narrowing capability. And you can even do a search, a keyword search using the filter bar. So again, it's parity with what we had before, but now it looks and feels like it's actually part of the hub. So really great advancements that we've made here. Explore data. So we're continuously improving the DSML capabilities. Out of the gate, the first release of DSML in the hub was the Explore Data dialog. This is the Insights tab. So when you go to the plus menu and you trigger the workflow to explore data, you had two options in the Explore Data dialog. You can generate instant insights, or you can go over and ask a question. So I'm showing the Insights tab first. Many of you might recognize this a little bit more prominently. It's the same insights that we generate over in the Designer area. Again, we designed it in a portable way. So the way you experience insights being generated in Designer is the same way that you experience them being generated here in the hub. The only difference being the workflow. So when you're in Designer, I generate insights. I can immediately add them to my canvas and generate, use that in a report or a chart that I'm creating. Here in the hub, because I don't have that canvas, I do different things with the insights when I'm here. And those are some of the new capabilities that we're building out. At the moment, when I generate the insights, the things that I can do with it is run it in a new window, and I can save it to the workspace so that later when I go and create a report or a collection, an assembly of visualizations, I can add this to it at a later time. Remember, I'm still in the hub right now, so a lot of this is still business decision making, but we have connected it to Designer and other areas through these means. This is currently what we're working on as well. So this was the first iteration of Explore Data and natural language queries. So the initial launch of this was pretty successful, I'd say. We're taking baby steps into realizing what the world is coming to expect. All these Chat GPT and Gemini and all these other chatbots that you're seeing out there. That's what this is working towards. The ability to use natural language to ask questions about my data, allow the user to simply ask a question, straight out, or allowing the system to interpret what the user is asking, give them some type of results, and allow them to select from the menu and build out the query with a little help. Right. So this was the initial launch. The initial view of what the system would generate was a simple sort of matrix chart. And some of the new capabilities that we're looking at in an upcoming release is more thoughtful responses, better performance of what those responses are going to be, different chart types, not just like a matrix chart, but different ways to visualize the responses, and then different actions. What can I do with both the results from the questions that I'm asking and the insights that I'm generating? How can I start new workflows right from this point? So those are all the things that we're looking at. But there are some capabilities in there today. And it's this dialogue that we released back in, I think it was 9.3.0. Alex can correct me on that if I've said the wrong.
I don't remember. It might have been 9.2 for the initial one.
Okay. All right. So search is another one. So we worked very hard at unifying the search experience, right? Pulling in multiple areas of the product I now want to search all the properties, all the assets that I've generated across all those different areas. Properties that sit in different repositories, different server areas. So we brought all those together into a unified search, right? So now it's a brand new plugin with advanced capabilities. I can search content items, I can search data items, and I see a unified set of results. So right now, the visual that I'm showing here, the All Items tab is selected. So the results that you're seeing on the right-hand side, those are a combination of things that are sitting in my client-side workspace or my server-side repository, right? So we've really pulled those things together into having a unified view. And then from there, you can right-click on an item. Sometimes you can trigger a workflow. Sometimes you want to go locate the item because there are things that you want to do with that item that require additional things from that repository that it's in. So we're continuously improving upon this, but step one was to be able to find those things, to be able to search upon them using certain properties, searching by name, by title, by tags, by summaries. All those capabilities are in there today. So this is a really great enhancement from what we had previously when it was sort of a disjointed search experience. And we're continuing to improve upon this, more ways to search. Some of the things that we're working on in an upcoming release, and this is based on feedback that we've heard from customers, is the ability to search within certain file types, searching specific content. So we're constantly looking for, better ways to search those things, to organize them, and to trigger the workflows right from here based on what the intent is for the user. And administration. So administration is it's a huge area, and we continue to improve upon it and to think about how we can make it better in upcoming releases. But one of the things that we heard from customers loud and clear was, we really want an easy way to be able to customize the entire experience to look and feel like our organization. Some customers, use it right out of the box. Some customers embed it within their own tools. And when they embed it within their own tools, they want it to feel seamless with their own branding and their own, wherever the tool is embedded, they want it to look and feel like an extension of that. And previously you could do it, but it took, a developer or somebody with some deep technical knowledge to follow a set of written rules, a guideline, how to go into the code, how to manipulate all that. And so while we had it, it just wasn't intuitive for everybody to do fairly easily. So we came up with this UI for administrators to go in and easily change the theme, the colors. And these are, a couple of different examples. So you can imagine however your brand looks, your organization, we've provided a way for your administrators to go in and customize the colors of the theme to look and feel. They can upload their own logos to match that branding so that this can feel like an extension of their organization. A lot of times, the branding itself is a little bit out of the realm of what an administrator can do, and they need to work with design team members. What should it look and feel like? What are the hex colors or the RGB colors for these types of things, links and headers? So we provided a way for them to download, the theme in a very simple form, share it with, a design team who can go in there and make some decisions. They could test it out and then share that back with the administrators, and then they simply upload it. So we know that sometimes that level of design styling is beyond the capability of what an administrator can do. And so we've allowed them to download it and work with design team members who are more capable at doing that. So we really try to make this a very seamless and intuitive experience. And we really just scratched the surface. We are working on some additional enhancements to this, such as the ability to add custom links to the header. So if you wanted it to go to a specific page, we're going to provide you a way to customize that URL. Changing the fonts. Right now, we've kept the fonts to the basic because changing the fonts could break a few things in the UI. But we're looking into ways to customizing the fonts based on some of those requests that are coming from customers. And even the ability to create multiple themes, right? And be able to select them. some companies might want to create a holiday theme and be able to quickly switch between that, or themes within the canvas, right? We have canvases once you launch Designer, different types of canvas themes that you could apply to the reports and charts that you're creating. So we're looking at additional ways of creating multiple themes and then storing them and giving users the ability to select the one that they want. So all those are features that have been requests that come in from customers. And we've, really taken them to heart, and we are, thinking about how we would achieve that and which point in time we might release it in a future upcoming release. So lots of great stuff that the team is currently working on. Again, please keep that feedback coming. All of this, we really want to get your feedback on it. Additionally, not just the requests, but we'd love to bounce some ideas off of anybody. So anybody who, would love to participate in a study where we can validate some designs and some ideas that we're coming up with, feel free to raise your hand. You could ping myself, you could ping Shay, and she could direct your request, or going through the community, raise your hand and say, I'd love to participate in a study, for UX. So everybody, please, we would love to speak with you and hear your ideas and hear some of your feedback on what we're coming up with. So anybody who would like to do that, we would love to hear from you. Okay, so that's the foundations of the hub, the principles that we were going for. So I hope that was informative to many of you. I'm sure it was a repeat for some others, but I think it really, was a good time to go back and revisit it, especially with some of the things that we have coming up. I'm going to take this time to turn it over to Alex now. He's going to take you through some of the workflows. No questions have come in. Okay, perfect. Over to you, Alex.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Lots of good stuff there. Before I get into like showing off the hub, kind of like as a whole, just wanted to like start from square one. Just think about like first, like what are the assets that we're trying to access from the hub, and then also like what are the workflows that we're trying to access from the hub, because those are like kind of like two sides of the coin, both creating content and accessing your existing content. So start with when we think about the assets on the hub, we got kind of like three levels of items. So like probably like the finished product is going to be some form of content. It might be just a single chart or report, or it might be a page or a portal that contains multiple charts or reports, even like a document, like PDF that has multiple charts and reports in it. And those are basically like a representation of your data. And so that's what we have like on the hub, and what we historically have called like the client in the content repository, which I'll show you where all those items are saved. And those are created based on your data sources. But in order for WebFOCUS to use that stuff, we first create kind of like representation, like a regular representation of your data, so that it can be consumed in WebFOCUS authoring tools, because we support a lot of different data types in WebFOCUS. So since these are all kind of different things, they need to be like kind of unified into one. So you have all this metadata that represents your data sources, so that you can use it to create content, basically. And so the data itself lies outside of WebFOCUS. It's going to be something that you already have either in a database or a file, but WebFOCUS can kind of like look into that data and bring it back to you so that you can use it in your content. So that's kind of like the structure of the assets, the like processing flow of WebFOCUS. And then we also have kind of like the user facing workflow in WebFOCUS. So if we go to the next slide, we have basically a few different steps going from top to bottom. So as I mentioned, your data probably or will already exist and either in a file or in a database somewhere. And you can actually use other processes, like we have WebFOCUS data flows to kind of combine those together as well if you have a mix of both. And then you use that data once you have a kind of representation, the metadata master file for that data. You can use it to create your charts and reports. And then you can combine those together if you want to get more information. Sometimes you have like a chart and a report that together provide kind of like complementary insights into your data. So they end up being kind of more than the sum of their parts. And then once you've created those as well, you can determine how you want to share those items. If it's a portal, you might send the link out and you have to make sure that the people that you're sending it to are permitted to access it. You might create content and share it with another WebFOCUS user, or you might use Reportcaster to distribute your charts and reports and documents to various recipients, even outside of WebFOCUS. You can send via email to anybody so that they can also get access to that content. So we have a lot of ways to kind of like um, complete that journey from raw data, which is very granular and can be hard to interpret, into something that you can create that makes it easy to understand basically what's going on in that data. So that's kind of some background in terms of like what we're looking at, and kind of also how I'm going to try and present the hub in a logical manner. Because as you saw with what Dave showed, we have a lot of features in the hub. It's packed with a lot of stuff. We've tried to balance both richness of capability with ease of use by bringing different related content together, and also by kind of simplifying some of the views to make it easy to find the most important items or similar items. So um, I will share my screen now, actually, and show you guys kind of what we got on the hub. All right, so here's your our default WebFOCUS sign-in screen, which you may be familiar with. You can also have like a custom sign-in screen set up as well if you want. And I'm just gonna sign in here. And so the top item, we have this sidebar, which has different views of the hub. So these views each contain kind of like a related set of options and content, so that it's easy to find similar items all in one place. So you can see here, this is the home view. This one's kind of like a collection of related content based on different collection criteria. So for example, this one has recently worked on items. So these are all the things that I've like edited recently, got shared with me. I've only got one. I logged in as another user and shared this chart with myself. But if you have anyone else that has their own private content, they can share it with other users. I'll show you how that kind of works. Very easy to do, but that'll show up here in this shared with me section. I have my workspace, which has all my private content. You can see that I have a lot of private content. We paginate this so that we don't have to load everything at once, but also you can increase the number of items per page if you want to see more. And if you don't mind like scrolling through and taking a look, but even then, you also have multiple different view options to kind of see things in a more logical manner. If there's specific information that you are looking for in your items, you can use this list view to view it as kind of like I guess a table of items. And then we have different sorting options here so that you can sort them based on various criteria. We even have the ability to add and remove certain columns. So if you don't care about some of them, like I haven't provided a summary for any of these items, I can do that. And I can also sort, I don't know if I have any hidden items. I don't think I do. But you can kind of like go through and sort based on various criteria, depending on what's like important to you at any given time. Here I've got favorites. So you can favorite an item and it will show up here. And then finally, last grouping of items that we have is our Reportcaster Explorer, which Dave mentioned is a new feature as of release 9.3.1. And this basically collects all your Reportcaster content. You can filter it by the type as well as various other criteria. It allows you to see only the Reportcaster stuff. So it filters out everything else, makes it easy to find your schedules. If you know where it's located, you can use the file navigation to find your items of various types. But if you don't know where they're saved, that's fine too. We have the ability to flatten this list. And so this is all my report libraries anywhere. Here's all my schedules anywhere. And as previously, here I can go into the list view and I can see where each item is located. So I can see like the file path of each one. So I've got them in various different folders throughout my repository. So that's kind of like one of the things we've tried to do is we know that there's a lot of content of various types. And if you have like a huge list of items, it can be a little bit tricky to find the one that you're looking for. So we've tried to group like some of the items based on these criteria. I'm going to show you at the end too. Search is another way to find the items that you're looking for. So we've tried to organize things in a logical manner to kind of make it easy to find because there are a lot of options and a lot of content items that you might have. So getting into the workflow, I talked about kind of like top to bottom from the data source up through distributing and sharing your content. And your data sources are going to reside here in the application directories. So this is one thing that I really like about the hub. In the past, if you're familiar with like the previous home pages we had, you did have access to this stuff in the legacy homepage. But in order to really like interact with your data, you needed to go to a separate web console. And the same is true of the other home pages that came after it. I think we had one in 8.2.06 and one that we used in 8.2.07. But now, instead of having to open up a separate window to have your reporting server web console, all your reporting server stuff can be accessed through the application directories. And we also have another section that has more of the configuration options. So here you can see my application path. For those of you who are not familiar, my master files are all saved to the application path. They're like outside the repository, which is where my regular content is saved. So in here, I have various types of items. And the kind of like key item type is the master file, which is like my data sources that I can use to create content. So here's where they're all saved to. In order to create a new one, I would go through the get data process. So we have the get data button here in the application directories, but we also have very useful plus menu, which was mentioned previously. So I can get to that from anywhere. I don't need to be in the application directories. I can just open up the plus menu and click get data and access this workflow from anywhere in the hub. When I'm in get data, I've got kind of like two different branching workflows that I might want to follow. One of them is uploading data from a file. So let's say I have like a CSV file, an Excel spreadsheet. See, we also have some other options here too. I can just click this option and then navigate to the file that I want to use. So in this case, I'll use this. And then it brings everything in. I can see all the columns from my spreadsheet. And there's some configuration I can do too. You can see like this country has like a different icon. I can change that. That's a geographic role that's used for mapping so that WebFOCUS knows how I should actually use that field. You can see here I have some other options up here that are more related to when I actually like save this data to WebFOCUS and ultimately to some location where WebFOCUS can access it. So here I've got the name of the item. Since I uploaded a file that had parentheses, I want to like change that. This is the name of the master file that will get created, and this is the name of the file that will get saved with the raw data in it. In this case, that's determined by this adapter option. I have the option to either save it again as an Excel spreadsheet if I want to basically like just use the same format. Or what I'm doing here actually is I'm saving it to a database. I've got MariaDB set up. So WebFOCUS makes it easy for me to take data from my spreadsheet. I can save it to like an actual database table. And the great thing about that is that that's like a spreadsheet is a file that you can send to anybody. Everyone has their own copy of the file. So if changes are made to the file, you might have like 5 different versions of that file that everyone is using and the data might not be the same. In this case, if I save it to a database, everyone's connecting to that same database table. We can be sure that they're getting the same view of the data. It's just easier to manage when it's all in one central location. As well, I think it's like performance and stuff like that. Different databases have different advantages to them. And then the application folder I showed you before in the app directories, that's where the master file will get saved. So when I go into Designer, I'll select that data source from there. The other workflow is connecting to a database. So that was if I uploaded a file, but I might already have my data in a database table. And that's easy to get to as well. So you can see here I have a few adapters set up of various kinds. I've got my like relational database, MariaDB here, which is kind of your classic like database format. I've got this like REST adapter. So if there's like an API like on a website or something, I can actually use this to connect to my data that's on that website and using their APIs. A lot of sites have like public APIs that you can use. I can get my data through that and I can report on that, which is very cool. Can use Excel if I've got like a remote spreadsheet that I want to connect to. And we have a whole list of adapters, huge number of various relational adapters, got some like NoSQL and other non-relational stuff, even like big data, and other various kinds of API things. Like the REST one is kind of like a generic adapter, but we also have like some specific stuff, like Slack, Twitter, Facebook, that kind of thing. So you can connect to a lot of different data sources from WebFOCUS. In this case, I've got MariaDB. I'm already using it, so I've got it set up. But if I wanted to make a new connection, I'll show you what I've got already configured here. There's just like a few connection parameters, and they vary by the adapter type that you're creating. In this case, I needed a URL so that it knows where to find the database, and user and password so it can actually connect to it. And then a lot of adapters too. They have, I think this one's like, it's a JDBC adapter. So it has like some like Java drivers that it needs to use. So most adapters, especially like the more database type ones, will have some kind of configuration like this. Your REST adapter is going to also depend, like you'll need to provide some API calls that'll need to be made. And then once I've set up that connection, I can go and I can click this Show DBMS Objects option. And then I see a list of all the tables that are in my database. There's a lot of them, as you can see. So we make it possible to search, to filter. So now I can see just the ones that have a certain text string in them. And again, like I can specify the application folder to load to. And then once that's done, I would see my data source listed here. Last thing I want to show before I get on to content creation is that while you can go ahead and create content right after uploading or connecting to your data source, another useful feature that you can access from this view of the hub is you can actually edit your master files. We have a lot of options here. If I open it up in the synonym editor, we have a feature that you'll see the use of very clearly in Designer called Business View. Right now, everything's just kind of like a flat list of fields. These are the columns for my database. But if I click this button, then it organizes them into folders of related stuff. So it basically looked at the column titles and decided, oh yeah, we'll put product stuff together. I might also want to group like region and state together. And city. I could create like a new folder that has my geographic stuff. And I can edit other things. For example, state, I can apply the geographic rule. This is a state, so I should recognize it as such. So you can make more edits to your data to make it more usable. And all this stuff, previously it was in a separate web console, which you can still access through the same method that you would have done before. But it's nice to have it here in the hub, so I don't need to open a new window in order to access that stuff. So once I've added my data sources and configured that, the natural next step is to create content so I can actually interpret, analyze that data. So the way I would do that is also from the plus menu, is using this create visualizations option. And that launches Designer. We have lots of material on Designer as well. For those who aren't familiar, but you can see like my data sources that I have show up here. I can navigate through different folders to try and find the data source that I want to use. And then that'll show up and it uses that business view that I might have set up for my data source so that things are organized in a little bit more useful manner. Because actually we have an option to show it as a flat view. You can see just how many fields there are, and even if they're ordered like alphabetically, it can still be hard to find what I'm looking for. So having that business view is pretty nice, and you can do that from the application directories, and in Designer, it makes it very easy to find the fields that I'm looking for. I can quickly create my content, and then once I save that, I have the option to save it to my repository. So you can see how I have all these folders set up. I can navigate through and save it. I'll just call this so then whenever I create and save an item, I can find it here in the hub. So here's the My Content folder that I saved that to. You can see I have a lot of content in here. And as soon as I save it, it shows up right here. So this is the most recent one. As with the other areas that we mentioned before, you can always view it in list view if you find that more useful. So you might want to see like, oh, what's the most recent stuff that I created? It would show up here. And so here's this. We show folders first, and then we show the content items. So here's the item that I just created. So that helps to like find the specific items I'm looking for a little bit more easily. And a lot of this UI is kind of common in between all of our different file explorers. So there might be some slight discrepancies based on where we're accessing it from, but the ultimate goal is we're gonna make these as similar as possible, so that it's a familiar navigating experience, regardless of where you are in the hub. But yeah, the workspaces area is probably the one that I think a lot of people that maybe like a content developer would spend the most time in, because this is where you're going to access all your WebFOCUS content, charts, reports. And then once you have a bunch of those, you might also want to combine them together. So we have a few different ways to do that. We have assembled pages. You can even take like your initial content and turn that into a page as well. We also have documents. And that kind of leverages the kind of same set of assets that you would see elsewhere. So when I'm creating a page, you can see these are the same folders that I saw in the hub, and I can select those same items and add them to my pages. So that makes it so that I can reuse my content very easily and combine it with other content to get a little bit more meaningful comparisons and combinations of stuff. This is a very simple content item, but I might have a report that has lots of detailed information, but I also want a chart that makes it simple and easy to interpret. So that's just like one scenario where you might want to use a page. And pages come with lots of features that make these items easier to use. For example, filtering, it's built right into the page. So it gives a lot of power in terms of like how you are using your content. Then once you have pages, you can go to even the next step, and you can create a portal. And once again, as with many of these options, it's available on the plus menu. So I can go ahead and create my portal from anywhere. And you can recognize a portal in the hub because it has this little separate icon. It kind of behaves like a folder, but you can run it and see the content within it. So for example, this one, I'm going to open it for editing. Oh wait, use the wrong one. Need to use the edit option. For this one, we have this new portal editor, which I think is great. If those of you who have not used 9.3 release yet, you might be familiar with the old kind of like folder navigation of portal, like we can see here. So again, the portal is like a folder that has the ability to run it and has content in it and stuff. But we have this new portal editor. Makes it very easy to edit your portals. And then regardless of any change that I make, it'll get reflected. It saves immediately and is kind of like reflected in the workspaces area of the hub. So it's very easy to like navigate my content. Once again, these are the same repository folders that I had before with all my content. And I can very easily just add these in here. This case, I will link to my original item. And so it's very easy to create your portals, and then you can access them again from here. So you can run your portals from here. And everything basically, to illustrate, is like saved here in the repository. And since it can have a lot of stuff, as I mentioned before, kind of broke it out into these categories here. So if I want to make an item, I meant to go there. If I want to make an item easier to find, like I just made this chart, I can always favorite it, and then it'll be easy to find in my favorites. There it is. So that can help make it easier to find. But the other thing is, we know people use these portals. So we created a portals section. We've had this actually for a long time. Even the legacy homepage had this. And once again, I can see all my portals here from anywhere in my repository. So if I have a lot of repository folders, this portal view kind of like shrinks it down, makes it easier to find the content that I'm looking for. And if I want to know where each of these is saved, I can go into this list view. And if I don't have the path column, I can add it. And then I can easily see the folder where each of these items is saved. So just another way where we've tried to like provide access to all your stuff in the workspaces. Obviously, you can organize it with folders and stuff, but we've also tried to make it much easier to access by kind of like shrinking down that list into a digestible structure. So portals are one way that you can combine content and make it available for people to view in kind of like an easy to digest form. Another thing you can do is you can distribute your content. So distributing content with Reportcaster is also very easy. Once again, a common theme. You can simply click the plus menu and select one of these options. Creating a schedule is kind of like the way you would distribute your stuff, and then you can create a distribution list or access list to decide like if you have a collection of users or people that you frequently want to access the same content, you can create a list of those users. But the other option that is also very easy is you can simply right click and we have this schedule option. So you can immediately, if you know which specific item you want to send, you can just right click that item and schedule it accordingly. This would also be how you share an item with another user. So if it's in my content folder, you can share it. Because this is private content, it'll show up and they're shared with me. But yeah, to get back to the scheduling, I'm going to go through the full workflow though, just to show how you would select your stuff. So this is the new Reportcaster interface. Once again, I can click to add a task and navigate the same repository that we have elsewhere. So I can go and find my item that I created and select it. And I could actually add multiple items to this as well if I want to schedule multiple at the same time. Then I would decide my distribution. We have various options to either send it outside of WebFOCUS, or we have our repository and report library options if I just want to like save a copy of it to a specific folder or location in the repository. I can do that as well. Email is a good one too, because you can send it outside of your WebFOCUS environment. So I'll just like type in some quick stuff here. And then you can set the recurrence in Reportcaster based on how often you want it to send. So if I want to send it every week on Friday, then I can do that. And so all that stuff is easy to access from wherever you are in the hub because it's on the plus menu, but you can also access it for a specific item just by right-clicking it. So we have a lot of options here on this right-click menu that provide a lot of power in terms of how you use your content. So having gone through kind of like top to bottom of the workflow, I want to show a couple of the options that you have that we brought together, as Dave mentioned, to determine how people can use WebFOCUS. We have these administration options here so that if you want to change certain configuration setup, you can easily do that all from the same place. So for example, you might have multiple reporting servers. You can edit the connection, make sure that they're all available from a single WebFOCUS client or multiple WebFOCUS clients through here. We have various configuration options here as well. We also have Security Center, so if you want to add more users, you can do that. And you can also add them to groups. And then when you go back into the repository, you can use or set permissions based on those users. So I'll go into, remember this is the My Content folder, so it's private, but this stuff, I can publish it and users with access to it will be able to see it. And the way I would set who can access it is I would select a user or a group from the security rules, and I can apply specific rules so that I have very granular control over who can access which items in the repository. So we have lots of documentation on this because it can be a little bit complex because there are a lot of options here, but it just goes to show that you have a lot of customization flexibility in terms of how your workspace is used, how your environment's used, who can access which items, and the same is true on the server as well. You can set preferences for the server and determine which server users have access to which features. And there might be some internal configuration things that you need to do. You can do those as well. We brought them together into one place because we know it's likely that administrators on the client and the server will be doing it in the same place. So no longer do we have the necessity of going into a separate web console to manage server stuff and going to like the client administration console to manage client stuff. It's together in one place, which makes it a little bit easier from a workflow perspective. And then this is also where you access that white labeling feature that Dave mentioned. So we have a lot of features included there. You can change the favicon, which is the little tiny logo that appears in the browser. You can add your own logos here. So this is kind of like the, I guess, branding and logo section. I guess really the logo section. So I can add my logo there and I can change like the text, etc. And then we also have the ability to change like the colors of different areas. And we have a little bit of text describing what each color is used for, but part of it I think is like trial and error, just seeing like what which areas you want to update to which particular color. But for example, the hub header background is very visible because it's going to be right up here. So I can easily update that. And if I click save, then it updates. And so I could go through and set all these colors. And if I've gone through and I've set it in the past, and then as Dave mentioned, you might have different themes that you want to use at different times. You can easily click this download button. It'll save the theme. And then you can go back later and you can upload a theme that you created previously. So I can easily upload that, and then it'll use my theme. And it doesn't just apply to the hub, it'll apply to Designer and other areas as well. And so that is an easy way to apply my branding. So that's another way that you can customize the hub beyond some of this hardcore administration stuff. And then finally, I guess to wrap it up, got all your content, you've done all your configuration and stuff, you've distributed some of it. If you ever feel like there's so much content, having a hard time like finding stuff, we do have this search feature that you can just type in a search query. As Dave mentioned, we have both content and data. That's one of the great things about the hub again, to reiterate, like bringing the content and data stuff together. So I can search for a string. This is both content and data stuff. So it's not like completely separated, but if I want, I can filter it down to get only the repository stuff. These are like my charts and reports, or only my like data sources, which some of these are spreadsheets as raw data. Some of them are master files that report against that data. And if I want to set up search, it's very easy to do. I can just right click the top level workspaces, go to properties, and I can set search from there. So we provide a lot of ways to kind of like organize your content, access your content, and find the things that you need to when you need them. So it's a lot of content there about WebFOCUS, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into how we've kind of organized things, and a little bit of the logic behind how we've done that, and kind of the improvements that we made in the hub compared to our past home pages. And if you ever want more information, you can always go and check out our documentation, which is the client one. Also, the server one too has information, and we have our manuals here. So yeah.
Alex, we have a couple great questions in the
Sure.
Q&A. Zeke is asking about linking of items, right? Showing a view of relationships between items.
Right, yeah, I know. So this is one area that we're continuing to improve kind of like our unification of the client and the server. I'm not sharing my screen anymore, so I should do that again. We had a feature called impact analysis on the server. Hopefully you can see this here. So I could in the past, let me use one that I know I've used a lot. There's car. So we have this called impact analysis, and I can run it on server items. I think that's like loading because there's probably a lot of stuff using car. But so I can see a little bit of like some of the stuff that's used just on the server side. We're doing some work to kind of like um, coming in the future to bring this into search so that it also includes the client as well. But yeah, that is in progress. So that'll make it easier to track down where am I using this data source? What are the procedures that use this data source? Even like maybe if I know a column that I want to look for, I can find like reports that are using that column. So that's our goal for that feature. And so hopefully that will help with that scenario.
Yep. We've heard that feedback from others, so we're definitely looking into it. What's the best way we can provide that in the UI?
Yep. Yeah, and we're aware that that's definitely like a useful thing to have across WebFOCUS. So.
Yep. Next question comes from Eric. Does the hub have a connection to App Studio?
Uh, yeah, so I mean, App Studio and the Hub, if you think about it, are kind of two views of the same repository. Um, so I won't take the time to open up App Studio and show you, but yeah, so you can use the Hub to view the same. I think in App Studio they call it workspaces. I think the same workspaces that you see in App Studio. So you can absolutely go into App Studio and create a hold file, and then if you run that hold file and it's running against a specific reporting server, you will see it in the application directories. If it's generating if it's generating a master file that's saving to your reporting server, then you'll see it there. You can see the same content that's edited in App Studio. So if you create a hold file report and save it to your repository, it'll show up on the hub as well. I'd say these days App Studio is probably your best option for like HTML pages because that's where the HTML canvas is stored. But any of your charts and reports and stuff, yeah, you can easily get to them from the hub as well. And that means that it might make it easier to use Reportcaster with that new interface or add it to a page. Any of the other stuff you want to do. So yeah, absolutely. Hub and App Studio are not separate. They're kind of like shared, um, different views of the same content, basically.
There is a follow-on question from Eric. So no method for launching App Studio from the hub.
Uh, no, because App Studio is a client-based tool. We do have ways to launch any like browser-based stuff from the hub. But App Studio being a client-based tool, you'll need like the kind of client launch on your desktop or Windows Start menu, wherever it is.
There's a question from Gene about switching of views. So basically, going between the different areas of the hub and setting to look at list view or tile view and having it remember and signing out and signing back in and that kind of stuff. He's asking about the difference between like 8207 and post 8207, like in the more up-to-date 9.3 versions. And I think in most cases we have tried to remember some of those view settings as much as possible between sign out and sign in. I think we're still working on a few of those, remembering the different areas because there are sort of unique different areas between the different plugins of the hub. We are working towards like if I set it to list view in one area and then go to a different area that it retains that setting. So those are a couple of the things that we're currently looking at.
Yeah, yeah, it might be saved as cookies too, so it might reset at some point. I think the other thing is we have unique settings for each area. So I showed like the favorites and the like shared with me. Um, you might have to like set it to list view in each of those, and they would be remembered separately in case you want like a different view for each one. But another thing, I know we've gotten a request for this, like more kind of like personalization options. One of those is like defaulting to list view, so you don't have to worry about that like tile view, and switching it for every area. So that's like one of those types of user preferences that we've been looking at like long term and implementing. that would be like right near the top of our list for those preferences.
There's another question from Michelle about where is the best place to get WebFOCUS documentation?
Yeah. So because I used to work with the doc team, so it's been something that's like kind of in the forefront of my mind as well. We do use the Tibco docs. Say, let's see, that's sharing. So I showed. We have a couple of options. Uh, we have the Tibco doc site, and um, they have split it out by kind of like category. So we have, I think the main ones that at least I use are we got a reporting server and our client documentation in these two sections. And then once you click like the client section, you can change the release version from this menu. One of the things maybe I should talk to them about this is it's just like chronological in terms of the most recent release, but I think we should probably ask them to make it like the most up-to-date release, if that makes sense. So like 931 would be like our newest, like our most modern release. But anyway, you can select any of the releases that are on the Tibco doc site from here. We even have some that predate our Tibco doc. And then we have all these PDFs here. We have the option also to download as a zip file. This is something that we documented. You can save this into your WebFOCUS environment so that if you want to locally access the help, I only got halfway through configuring it, but we have these help links here. It would launch that help plugin. I haven't finished setting this up on my environment, but you would get the same help plugin that you see if you click this online help link, and you could get that directly from WebFOCUS once you've set it up. So let's say I'm looking for help on Reportcaster. I could uh, easily get to that through the plugin, which includes like search and stuff like that. So if you want the full PDF, if you're familiar with like which particular one you want, like some of the hardcore reporting stuff, you can open up like the full PDFs from here and find what you're looking for. But if you prefer to use the help plugin, you can get that through here, or again, you can like download it. And we have some configuration steps in the installation manual for how to set that up, so that you can access it just through these help links. Let's see, did I set the server help? I might not have done either yet on my environment, but yeah. So we have a few different ways of doing it. I know because there's a lot of Tibco products, it can take some time to like navigate and get used to that site. Whereas before we had like our knowledge base site that was like focused on WebFOCUS documentation. So it might have been a little bit more streamlined to access that stuff. But hopefully so one of those options can be useful for accessing our documentation.
Okay, Alex and Dave, is that all for y'all's presentations part?
That is it.
Yeah.
That's all that we had for today.
Awesome. All right, guys. If you have any additional questions for Alex or Dave, please submit those now as they were going through and answering some of those. So we still have just a couple of minutes left if you have any last minute questions. While I'm letting you guys think about that, just again, a couple of reminders. This session was recorded, so we will be sending out a copy of the recording as well as of any documentation that Dave and Alex are able to share with you guys. I will include that as well. Don't forget, if you can, join us for the New York Summit Roadshow. Again, that is our last one for 2024. There will be a question on the evaluation form regarding 2025. So again, if you don't mind, please take a moment to fill that out for us. Your feedback is extremely important. And with that, let's see, is there any other questions coming in? I'm not seeing any. So if there are no other questions, guys, we will give you a couple of minutes back to your day. We thank you so much for joining us. And Alex and Dave, thank you so much for presenting today. A lot of great material, a lot of great content. Don't hesitate, guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here. We're happy to help. And we will see you next month.